MK Ultra and Charles Manson. Charles Manson and the members of his violent cult left an indelible influence on American popular culture. In fact, they served as the impetus for the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Decades after the cult gained notoriety, however, new evidence emerged suggesting that a covert CIA program to research the effects of psychedelic drugs may have contributed to Manson's rise to infamy. This program was designed to study the effects of LSD, psilocybin, and other psychedelic substances. Before we dive deeper, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, along with turning on the notifications. Welcome to A Brief History of Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s. Tom O'Neill, author of the book Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s, interviewed forensic psychologist Alan Shefflin for his upcoming book Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s, in which O'Neill inquires about the potentially tragic repercussions of the CIA's experimental mind control program, MK Ultra. O'Neill posed the question, is it feasible that the killings of Charles Manson were a part of an MK Ultra experiment gone wrong? In response, Shefflin stated, no, an MK Ultra experiment that was successful. Manson family's gruesome murders. An abandoned film set in the suburbs of Los Angeles became home to a community of outcasts, including a number of kids who were seeking refuge from society. In 1969, several members of the Manson family committed 9 brutal murders in Los Angeles, shocking the entire country. Sharon Tate, an American actress and model who was 8.5 months pregnant, were found dead alongside her other victims. The shocking violence of the crime of the century and the accompanying murder trial captivated the United States. The scene in the courtroom included screams and threats from defendants with swastikas tattooed on their foreheads. Helter skelter. The killer's method of operation was particularly savage. Bloody political messages were found on the bodies of the victims, including the title of a Beatles song, Helter Skelter. As a result, Americans were abruptly thrust into a world where previously harmless hippies were viewed as foreboding portents of doom. The U.S. government was already wary of hippies due to their perceived political leanings. The public view seemed to solidify after Manson's highly publicized trial. CIA's studies. By the time he was 32 years old in 1967, Manson had already spent half his life in prison for various crimes, including raping a youngster. After being released from Terminal Island Prison in California that year on parole, Charles Manson eventually made his way to San Francisco. During his time in the Bay Area, 4 separate drug research experiments, funded by the CIA, crossed Manson's ignoble path. 2 of these studies have now been proved to have included him. Roger Smith, Manson's parole officer and a doctorate student at Berkeley, participated in a government-financed program studying LSD and drug use in the San Francisco area. Smith's immunity as a parole officer extended to the people he studied. Smith was in a position to report Manson's multiple parole violations and have him returned to prison, but he never did so. As a result, Manson was able to stay at large and continue his drug abuse without consequence. During his time at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic, Roger Smith was able to work with the clinic's founder, Dr. David Smith, a medical doctor with expertise in pharmacology. The CIA provided funding, and in exchange, the two studied the prevalence of drug usage for fun among their patients. Doctors and other medical staff at the clinic soon began to notice a disproportionate number of young cult members among the facility's runaways and addicts. Assistant researcher Alan Rose voluntarily visited the Manson family's Los Angeles compound, where he ingested narcotics and took part in strange sexual ceremonies. 4 months of intensive study were followed by Rose's return to San Francisco, with the group marriage commune, a case study published in 1970. Rose and David Smith wrote the first academic analysis of the Manson family. Louis Jolly West, one of the clinic's other researchers, served under Sidney Gottlieb, the CIA chemist and MKUltra program director. Gottlieb oversaw the nefarious CIA operation that experimented on unwitting individuals with LSD, tried to create the ultimate truth serum, studied the creation of the ideal assassin, and studied the implantation of false memories. Once West had finished his time working with Gottlieb at Lackland Air Force Base and the University of Oklahoma, he relocated to San Francisco, where he met Roger Smith and David Smith and learned about their work. The CIA exploited multiple medical research groups in San Francisco to support its different LSD research operations. In 1976, the New York Times conducted an investigation that exposed the CIA's covert partnership with the National Institute of Mental Health, the Foundation's Fund for Research in Psychiatry, Incorporated, and the Geschichte Fund for Medical Research. A CIA official stated that the MKUltra program was shut down in 1973. Why he faced a mental breakdown? After the events of 1968, Manson left San Francisco for Los Angeles. The fatal result of his mental breakdown, which some say was exacerbated by the CIA's careless experimentation with LSD, occurred a year later. O'Neill discovered during the course of writing his book evidence that law enforcement detectives in the Los Angeles area botched a number of facets of the Manson case. By omitting the CIA's crucial role, Bugliosi's book became the canonical account of the murders of 1969. Many of Bugliosi's claims are disproven by O'Neill in Chaos. Prosecutor Stephen Kay, who worked on the Manson murder trial alongside Bugliosi, informed O'Neill that the new information presented in Chaos could be enough to overturn the previous verdicts. Retrial politics and the subsequent media coverage would be disastrous for the CIA's image. A further damaging aside, should the courts determine that the CIA's LSD research projects played a role in motivating the Manson family's 1969 murders, is that authorities still fear that Manson's acolytes might have engaged in as many as 12 additional unsolved murders. That's the end of the video. Tell us in the comments if you liked the video. Also, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. This has been a brief history of MKUltra and Charles Manson. Thanks for watching.